welcome back to Captain of the Rings channel on YouTube. Here we have the final installment of my 4-parter video on the Bologna tournament that probably took place about a year ago by now, which I'm kind of sorry for, but you know, life tends to get in the way. Here we have myself playing against my friends from the Veneto team, which was originally the place where I should have been. Just kidding. I actually managed to get into the tournament at all because I decided to participate as a mercenary. But here we have myself facing against my friends at the bottom of the tables. Let's see how it goes. So, the pre-faction of the game. Here we have my Dread Elves against the Asklanders. They're kind of a Viking type faction in the 9th Age world. They live in icy and windy places in the north. They have access to big guys with big shields and big axes, so kind of scary. And also they can have the option of bringing trolls, giants, mammoths, you know, all things that in previous games didn't really do that much on my elves, but whatever, I can take this. So this is a 4500 point game. We have the diagonal deployment, which means that the two armies are going to be very close to each other. It doesn't bother me that much, but in the end we both have close combat focused armies, so I think I am losing a little bit here, a little bit more, just because I have more ranged options through magic and crossbows. But it's not that big of a deal. The secondary objective is King of the Hill. This means that each player has to choose one terrain piece in the opponent's side of the field, and they have to capture it by the end of the game. Also, they should defend their own piece, the one that the opponent chose in their side of the field, just so that, you know, we are sure that we actually get those 3 points. So moving forward, this is my opponent's side of the field, starting from my left. Here he has an interesting unit of trolls. First of all, the models are pretty good looking and also very well painted, but the unit itself is a problem. I mean, 8 trolls with 4-up fortitude, toughness 5, you know, the option to puke and get rid of armor saves, or the option to just throw, what, like 24 attacks, 32 attacks against something at strength 5. It's not that bad. Not that bad at all. The saving grace is that they are not that accurate in hitting, so, you know, at least that saves me a little bit, but still it's a scary choice. Then he has 5 wolves to moving to the right, a big block of infantry with a giant. He probably has the spear on the giant. This means that if I charge it, it gets +2 initiative. Not good, but I should still be able to go before the giant, so whatever. And then he has a fighty hero inside of the unit. This unit is pretty tough because Asklanders on their own get their shield wall ability. Basically, that gives them a 4-up armor save instead of the normal 5-up that they would have, as long as you face them in the front. So, you know, having a unit of like 30 guys with a 4-up armor, a giant, a hero inside, they're not an easy thing to crack. Then again, moving to the right, he has a bunker in the back, completely to the back of the picture at the top right. There he has his 2 mages. One can cast a comet for sure, and the other one probably has the beast lore, so he's going to empower his units in close combat. A little bit forward he has 5 wolves, and then in the next picture he has another block of like 30 Asklander guys with another fighty hero and a giant, and then 8 more trolls on the right. So as you can see, his army is very symmetrical. He had a specular deployment type, and I chose this forest here in the picture while he chose the hill in my side, which we're going to see right now. But again, kind of a scary army choice. His big blocks are pretty tough, and I don't think my units can win in a one-on-one scenario against his units, because he concentrated his points very well. Other than the chaff units and the bunker in the back, everything else is pretty tough. And so I think I'll probably need to get a couple of units into his blocks if I want to whittle them down. Going into my deployment instead, from my left side of the table, I have a unit of 5 fast cavalry. Then I have my heavy knights behind the house, which kind of disrupts my deployment because I'm not able to help with my knights the center of the battlefield, but what can you do? My opponent chose the deployment zones this time. Then I have my Leviathan, which can fly, so the house is not that big of a deal for me, at least with the Leviathan. Then I have my 25 spearmen with the banner that gives them +1 to wound all turns and not the first one only. My general, which is a 1-up, 5-up, probably with the lance, I think, that gives him +1 to strength and armor piercing for each wound he causes on a raptor. Then I have 5 more fast cav in the center to slow him down and chaff where I need. A raptor chariot, so the heavy one. 20 tower guards, with my BSB, which probably is the magic guy. So basically he has 2 spells from alchemy, he has a 5-up armor and a 4-up ward saving combat, probably 4-up Aegis actually. Then I have my Wizard Master of Cosmology within a unit of crossbowmen, and they probably just have a musician. My altar right in the back, I placed it right behind the hill because I'm basically trying to save his points in the end, and since I know that my enemy is coming up to me, I think he can stay in the back without losing the fear bonus for my army. Then I have another raptor chariot and my 5 acolytes. I basically think that I'm going to kite them, move them around the enemy formation and try to go for the bunker, which has 2 mages inside. I think he runs Beast, the Beast lore with 1 guy, and he probably has the Comet on the other guy. So kind of a dangerous combination for me, because if we look at the deployment like this, you can see the bunker right in the back from this picture. He basically has me pinned. I don't have a lot of space, mostly because of the house that you can see in the low right corner of the picture, and also because his units are very tanky and hard to break. They have a lot of ranks, they can still do a decent amount of damage, and so I don't feel confident rushing into the big blocks. The trolls, on the other hand, on the flanks are kind of a nasty thing for me. On the right side, so the green unit of trolls in the top of the picture, I think my tower guards can deal with them, because I can have the tools to kill them. I do have the option to give my guys flaming attacks, which gets rid of his regeneration or the fortitude, but these trolls, for this army specifically, if they are attacked with fire weapons, the enemy has to roll with a -1 to wound disadvantage, which is kind of a big deal, especially for my tower guards, which usually wound trolls on 5s. So overall, I still get to re-roll my wounds because of the flammable rule, so it's a re-rollable 5 to wound, but still it's a little dicey, but I think my tower guards can take care of them. However, for the blue trolls at the bottom of the picture, I know for a fact that my knights don't stand a chance. I might kill 1 or 2 trolls if I charge in, but then he's going to puke and kill all of my knights, because puke wounds on a 2-up and negates my armor, which is the only save I have. So my idea was, I'm going to push kind of hard and wait to see if he makes some little movement mistake with his units. on the right while I try to slow him as much as possible on the left. So I try to do this by placing the fast cavalry right in front of the brute trolls to try to get them to charge and fail for a couple of turns. However, I flee from his charge. He rolls very well on the pursuit while I roll not that good on the flee, and so he just catches me, and that part of the plan didn't work. However, it was kind of an average thing. I was like 7 inches. It was like a 7-inch charge for him before any flea movement started. Then I rolled like a 3. He got a pretty good number, and so he just catches them. However, I try to do the same thing on the right, and that works much better. He charges in with the big block of Askelander warriors, and he moves forward by like 4 inches or something, so that worked. On my turn, instead, I move my acolytes right to the top of the table. They are the blue hair guys. I'm just waiting to see if I can squeeze through the trolls, the green ones. If I'm able to do that, then they have basically free range to go for the mages in the back. Here it's my turn again. I managed to regroup my fast cavalry, and then I just shuffle around my things just to get in range with my mage and crossbows. I think my crossbows don't manage to shoot this turn. I just cast some magic spells. I'm kind of afraid of the comet. I don't know if he placed one already, but he's going to cast 2 or 3 of those. And I just decide to ignore them because at this point, if I go in too fast, he's going to countercharge me, and that's not going to work. So I thought my best option was just to wait for him to come to me. And again here, as you can see, his units start to get closer while my line is waiting for an opening. Here on the left side, he charges my knights, but they just basically say, "Oh, hell nah," and they just turn back and go right to the bottom of my field. At this point, I know that they don't stand a chance. I want him to wait as long as possible. I know he's going to march behind the house, but that also lets me get away with my spearmen not looking at the left and instead focusing on the center, so whatever. It's kind of the best I can do, I think. Then we move back to the center. He basically shuffles his pieces around. He gets closer with everything. Now we are pretty much in charge range with anything. He does have his big units of infantry in the woods. However, he has the stalker standard, so that allows him to just keep the ranks even though he's in the forest. I would have gone much quicker if he didn't have that banner on top. And he also chaffs my tower guards and the chariot with a group of wolves. Here we have a duplicate. I think I cast some spells because I'm trying to whittle his numbers with the cosmology spell, but he keeps dispelling them, so I'm not really able to do any range damage. Here I regroup my knights that fled previously. I'm still waiting again. There is probably a comet that has been placed on top of the hill right behind the Leviathan, but again I just chose to ignore it. And here is my point of view, which is kind of scary because I don't really have many options. However, I did charge and kill the wolves with my tower guards. I just made quick work of them. But again, we are looking at a pretty tough matchup. And here we go for the final picture that I took of the game. It was the 4th one. I was kind of tired. And then a lot of things started happening that were very weird. This is my opponent's turn because he charged this time. As you can see, all of the chaff pieces have gone away. They either got chased away or died. So in my turn, the previous one, I managed to put a 5 upward save on the tower guards just to be sure, because I was preparing for his charge. In his turn, right after I cast the spell, he managed to put down a comet, which is the red circular object right in the center of the picture, close to my general, and that is going to be a huge deal later. However, he charges my chariot with the green trolls, and I decide to flee because I know that the chariot has the same problem as the Cold One Knights. He only has armor saves, and so it's probably gonna die. So he redirects the charge into my tower guards, which is fine by me because I have the 5 upward save, I have my flaming banner if I choose to activate it. So overall I'm kind of okay with this. Then he also charges in the center my Leviathan with a big block, and he managed to pull through with the trolls, the blue ones in the bottom of the picture, and he charges into my spears. I don't think he's going to break me immediately, but in the long run my spears are not going to last against those trolls. So the combat goes pretty well for me on the right, as I thought, and kind of decent in the center. My Leviathan takes 6 wounds, as you can see from the die at the bottom of the model, but it doesn't die. I think he chases it down, but he doesn't manage to get into the spears because of the angle of the house, so his unit is just stuck in the middle. On the bottom, the trolls win the combat, but I still have ranks, so the spearmen stay there. And in the top of the picture, my tower guards kill like 3 or 4 trolls. He kills probably 6 or 7 guards, which is a fair trade. He breaks from combat, and my guards chase the trolls down and kill them. So that worked out pretty well. However, in his next turn, the comet comes down. It puts a wound on my general. It kills a decent number of crossbowmen. It puts a couple of wounds here and there on the chariot and my altar in the back. So it cripples me down a bit. It probably does a little damage to him, but you know, elves and comets don't work really well and in synergy with each other. So in the end, that comes down, does a pretty good amount of damage. In the subsequent turns, my tower guards, I just decide to save the points and hide them from his main infantry block. I had the option to charge them. My opponent also told me, you could have charged into something. I was not sure about it, so I just said, you know what, I'll just save the points. My spearmen die to the trolls that end up charging my crossbowmen and kill them, and they in the end charge into the altar but are not able to kill it before the end of the game. My general at that point didn't have that much to do because he doesn't have any single models, so I just saved his points by avoiding combat. And as I told you before, my acolytes were chasing down his bunker, but he moved his mages out of the bunker, and he basically sacrificed the 15 Asklanders to my knights. I was able to kill a few of them, but they didn't break from combat, and so I only got maybe 100 points because I took them to less than 25% of the original unit. So in the end, it comes down being a 13-7 victory for the Asklanders. I think that's because no one scored the objective, so I managed to keep those 3 points. Looking for the positives of this game, my tower guards really did pull their weight. In the end, I was thinking that they could take down the trolls. I was still a little scared because 8 trolls is a lot of trolls, but still they managed to win, even though I did not completely cut them down, and the 5-up save also helped a lot. Negatives, I felt like I had no answer to his big infantry blocks. I tried casting the area damage from Cosmology on them a couple of times, but he kept dispelling it, and so in the end I didn't manage to whittle them down. If maybe I got the unit of one of the two units to half the amount with some range damage, maybe I could have been a little more aggressive, but it never happened, so I never felt like it. Something to improve from this game is my movement management and the aggression. Having Red Elves means that you should be an aggressive player rather than a passive one. In my games up to now, as you can see, if you also saw the previous ones, I haven't really been that aggressive. I try to do the aggressive part of the game if I feel threatened by range damage, while I tend to be much more passive if the opponent doesn't have a lot of range. And that is kind of counterintuitive and also counterproductive for me, because, for example, in this game I didn't have a lot of things to do. I just basically passed all of my movement phases, allowing my opponent to get closer and closer. And in the end, we ended up doing one-on-one fights where I knew that my elves didn't have the chance to truly shine. So that was, I think, the main thing for me to focus on and to improve for the next battles. Now, just a little shout out to the next projects. Well, I know I took a long break, like a year or something from the last report I uploaded, but I'm still cooking. I'm still preparing something. Here I have 3 ideas that I'm going to bring to the channel when I get to it. The first one is I would like to share some of the tips that I gained through painting over the years. I have been a painter for quite a while now, and I'm starting to enjoy the painting process a lot more now that I can actually paint single miniatures and not batch paints. Batch painting is not bad at all, actually, and if you want to have an army ready to play on the table, is a necessary step of the process. And it does teach you the basics of painting. However, painting single models or very small units kind of gets me into the lore aspect. It pushes my imagination. Painting specific models really does bring out the best of my abilities, I would say. Then I would also like to start a new project which may help some players to prepare for Dungeons and Dragons. I have ran a couple of games as a game master, and I also played a little as a player. I ran a couple of characters, so I would like to share some tips here as well. I'll maybe do a video or a couple of ones just to see how you react to it, how you think, if there is something of value to be shared. And then the third point is new 9th Age battle reports are coming. Again, I don't play that often, so it's not going to be a very step-by-step guide. It's not going to be a weekly thing. I just want it to be some tips and ideas that I throw around on the internet when I'm done. So here it is. Thank you again for listening. I hope you had fun and watched the whole tournament, finally complete. I hope it was entertaining and you learned something about the game, or maybe some tactics and mistakes that you can avoid if you play with the Dread Elves as well. So again, thank you very much and see you on the next one. Bye!